Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's perfect.
It's like a call to, and he says it later. He's a little self-will, or will. How do we bring will into this now? Right now, it's just kind of running on its own, whatever forces.
Yeah.
And
Instincts, tastes, whatever. It's just sort of moving with these instincts.
Yeah, and we don't know where it's going or whatever, so we can't. I mean, he's an aristocrat, and aristocrats believe in will. They believe that man does have some dominion over his fate. He can choose.
And why is that? Do you remember why?
Well, I mean, that's the aristocratic temperament, because in an aristocracy, it's assumed that some men are greater than others. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that's kind of inherent in that. If you, I suppose, if you follow it out, an aristocratic man is going to believe that he has some control over the world.
His destiny, basically.
Yeah, because he has control over others, control over the land, and things like that.
And this is more of a belief that he does have free will. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Versus that, and that can kind of probably we'll have to look at how historians from aristocracy see like their historical idea, like the great man theory or whatever. The idea that a few great men shape history. That there are people that can move history certain ways through their sheer will or power.
He talks about that in a little chapter on how people in a democracy interpret history. Historians of democracy.
Right.
It says a democratic state tends toward just seeing great forces, and people are just at the whim of these forces. Whereas an aristocratic historian will look for small details, and they'll look for like one man guiding the paths of history.
And the reason that doesn't happen from a democratic historian, he's saying, is that somebody in a democracy sees basically sees little difference between the men, and so anything that's sort of shaping these men cannot come from a man. It has to come from either the whole or some other force that's much greater.
Yeah, every man in the democracy looks at every other man and sees the complete equal. There's no hierarchy.
Right. And to think about that idea for a second, he may even talk about this in the intro, but he says his statement here is that in a democracy where you have this assumed equality amongst men, what then becomes the way to basically who's the authority? If you have all these individuals who are equal, who's the authority to say what's just and what's good and what's bad? And
this and that, and then I don't know. Right now, that's he says in the next sentence, which is all by itself. After what you just read, I believe, a new political science is needed for a world altogether now. Altogether new. So what? This may answer some of the questions we had earlier. This is. I don't know whether he pretends to answer this or not, but it seems to be the question of the book: is how do we have a political science which tells men how to live? Defines justice. How to act. What's the best way for man to live? That's what political science is. How do we have this in a world that is inevitably going to see every man as equal? how can one man tell another man how to live?
Right.
Okay, so that seems to be the call right here. It's like, maybe he thinks he has an answer, or maybe he's just hiding his aristocratic tendencies somewhere in here, but at least the question is, we need something here, and,
Okay.
and it's open right now.
And yeah. And because prior to this point, it's sort of been shaped through what?
Great men.
Well, I'm saying prior to this point in in the life of democracy, the authority has been what? Has been when you have a bunch of people who can't, who have differing opinions, whose opinion ends up winning out in a democracy, the majority. So that's his tyranny of, the idea of a tyranny of the majority, is that whatever the majority, whichever way it goes, that's always the way that the democracy goes. And through that, you have problems. You have the way that anybody who's in the minority all of a sudden has no say, right? So I just wanted to put that out there. But I think what you're saying, and he's pretty critical, or he's more sees that there's potential for a lot of problems through that sort of authority being the ruling authority. And, is that, it has to be questioned, is that the proper method, and what other methods are available to run, sort of make those decisions.
Right.
So, yeah, really big point.
So then can we say that it's not really a practical book, at least on the surface? It's not saying that this is what needs to be done, but it's a call toward some sort of practice, some new political, scientific practice.
Yeah, I think that statement that you just pointed out says that a new political science is needed for a world altogether new.
Right.
When the world changes, is changing. It's changed so drastically here. You can't sort of. It's a call for people to step up and sort of examine it and say, what should this new political science look like? What should it be? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I mean, for me right now, it feels even more like there's a lot more at stake in what he's saying, because the minute someone steps up and says, this is how you should live, then all of a sudden you've broken the equation of equality. So is there a new way into this by retaining what is, I guess, virtuous about man, in that he has a higher intellect, but at the same time respecting the equality of other men?
Okay. Yeah.
He's talking about a new political science. He's talking about something new. All political science of the past has been, I know, therefore you should do.
Yeah. Okay.
So how do we navigate this, I think, that's the question.
Yeah. Yep. Phone. Never have heads of state thought at all to prepare for it in advance. It is made to spite them or without their knowing it. The most powerful, most intelligent, and most moral classes of the nation have not sought to take hold of it so as to direct it. Democracy has therefore been abandoned to its savage instincts. It has grown up like those children who, deprived of paternal care, rear themselves in the streets of our towns and know only society's vices and miseries. That just kind of goes along with what we're saying. He's looking for a way to prepare for it and sort of direct it. We've talked about this already.
In answer